Hi, I'm Chris Hero. This is a shoot conversation with SpeedBall Mike Bailey here from Dallas, Texas. WrestleCon. We're on the 18th floor. It's 1:42 a.m. Man, I'm ready to rock and roll. How you feeling, man?
Terrible.
Terrible.
No, it's not so bad. Honestly, I'm doing okay, all things considered. I just had 2 very rough matches today. I've got 6 more in the next coming days. I've chosen to stay awake with you for a few more hours.
Yeah.
With you, and I mean the royal you, everyone here, because I love you all so much.
Yeah. Thank you for foregoing a couple hours of rest to talk
Very welcome.
wrestling bullshit
Very happy to
with
do
me.
it.
So July 16th, 1990, is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, man, because Wikipedia is hit or miss.
Really?
I'll look up the birth date, and they'll be like, that was not my birthday. So July 16th, 1990 is when it all began.
So that's right. One thing I know is Cage Match is wrong about my hometown.
Ooh.
Because I get people read it on Cage Match and then they say Ottawa for some reason.
Yeah.
Which is inaccurate.
That's bullshit. Cage match. Get your shit together, man.
Oh my god.
Come on.
Are we shooting on Cage Match here?
Yeah. Cagematch.net. Before that was moonsault.de.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of those old German websites. Hell yeah. Laval, Quebec, Canada. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's
That is
correct.
Exactly correct.
Tell me about growing up in Quebec.
I can't compare it to growing up anywhere else. But I can say that I was extremely, I don't know, I'm not going to diagnose myself, but extremely sad as a child. And I can say, I want to say this early, because if not, I would have just said it later. My biggest accomplishment in life, that's the thing I say often, my biggest accomplishment in life is making sure that every year I've lived was better than the last.
Yeah.
Which is not like I'm superhuman and doing great, is that I was just such a sad child.
Oh,
I
man.
hated school. I just wanted to play fight.
Yeah.
Mostly with my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing I wanted to do, and I was not interested in sitting down for any length of time unless it was to play video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wearing shoes.
Wearing shoes. Hated wearing shoes. Just wanted
Yep.
to run around barefoot and just throw myself around off of hills and stuff.
Yeah. So you said brothers. You have a couple.
So, yeah, I have 2 brothers, 1 sister. My older brother did not train to become a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
My sister trained, but who you may have met, actually.
What did she wrestle as?
She did not. So she didn't wrestle.
Okay.
She came to training, and she was, around Chikara at a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm.
She was dating Hardcore Ninja number 2.
Okay.
Which might help. I don't know. My brother trained and wrestled for a very, very long time.
Your tag team partner.
My tag team partner,
Yeah.
that's right. Which I'm sure
Yeah.
you
Oh,
have.
I got it in here, bro.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
it in here. Lex Lerman.
That's right.
Lex Lerman.
So he and I, people say, when did you start wrestling? And the correct answer, well, not the correct answer. The obvious answer is I started taking bookings in 2006.
Okay.
Right? So when I started wrestling regularly and being on quote unquote wrestling shows.
Yes.
As were happening in Quebec at the time.
But before that.
Before that, when I literally the first time I was 7 and he was 9 and we saw professional wrestling on television.
Yeah.
We're that's it. We're doing that now.
Yeah.
And we did, and we didn't stop. And then we did barely backyard wrestling, more like bedroom wrestling, and we'd go and wrestle out in the snow sometimes with our friends. But man, we were good.
Yeah.
We were good. We were real good.
Do you have some footage of these this early days?
No, so this would be before.
Yeah.
We weren't the kind of family that was able to afford things like
camcorder.
cameras. Yeah. So we did get a digital camera to film some later stuff, but that's all gone. That's all completely gone.
Okay, so you're saying you are, 7 and 9
Yeah.
when you first watched wrestling?
Yeah.
What did you see?
So exactly, it was Kane trying to set the Brood on fire. That was the first thing we saw on TV, just flipping through the channels, landed on it, had no context for what happened.
Yeah.
We're this is great. This is the best thing we've ever seen.
And did your family have any knowledge of wrestling, like your parents?
No. So wrestling is pretty culturally relevant in Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about the Mad Dog Vachon and that kind of dude is kind of ubiquitous. Everyone knows about it, but they were not wrestling fans. They did not know any of the wrestling aside from the stuff that everyone knew.
Mm-hmm. So did they support you guys watching wrestling, or did they want you to maybe watch something else?
I feel like, so to go deep and give family background, my father, who passed away just a couple years ago, had multiple sclerosis and was wheelchair bound basically since I was born. And my mother was basically raising 4 very rambunctious children, including myself. And so, like, couldn't really stop it. I don't know if she wanted to, but I feel like, if it would have been that or something else, you know?
Yeah. A much, I guess safe maybe isn't the right word as far as health, physical health, but you could have been in the streets. You could have been, smoking cigarettes and, whatever the children.
One memory that I have is when we were, like, this is a few years after we had started wrestling and our mom had fully, like, given in to the point where, like, she, instead of just taking our mattresses off our beds, putting them on the floor and wrestling on those, she would buy us, the different mattresses that we could wrestle on.
Yeah.
And so our bedroom was a bunk bed that we would use as the turnbuckle, a dresser across the room. Our beds, we slept on the bunk bed, and there were just 2 queen mattresses on the floor that we would use to wrestle on. And I remember the walls of the room being just full of holes. From like suplexing and
like a butthole, like a butt print.
Oh, exactly.
There. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. I remember practicing wall flips. When you like run, step off, and
Jody
just like,
Fleisch.
Yeah, Jody Fleisch probably. Yeah. So this would have been before I found out about Jody Fleisch.
Jody Fleisch Ruckus also used to do that.
That's right.
It's the tiger wall flip. But
yes.
A little fancy.
I remember being like, "Oh yeah, I can do that now," and just kicking right through the wall.
Yeah. So what about other sports? Was there anything else you were interested in? I know you did some taekwondo, but I don't know what age you got into that.
So that taekwondo was around 11 or 12, I think. So before that, I am not like any like team sports or like ball sports. Can't do any of those. Still suck to this day. Can't play anything.
You can't kick the hell out of a soccer ball?
No, I cannot. So again, that might be like too much taekwondo, but I cannot kick a hacky sack. And you think like, oh, good foot dexterity. I can't. No, cannot at all. I can't dribble a soccer ball twice. Just terrible the whole time. And like in school, in like phys ed and stuff, I thought I was like completely unathletic the whole time until like in high school, it started going past, let's play hockey now. We play basketball. We did like running and swimming and, athletics and
individual
gymnastics.
stuff.
Like, I was like easily the best in my class at that, but easily the worst at volleyball.
That's a little different.
Yeah. But no, I thought I was like unathletic and bad at sports my whole life until I started like taekwondo, which is something that I could actually like measure myself in.
Was amateur wrestling anything you were interested in?
Yes, 1,000%, but it's not a thing.
Not a
Quebec.
thing. Okay.
I would have been all over it otherwise.
Yeah. So did you hop into taekwondo because of wrestling, or did you see it as a separate thing that you also enjoyed?
So kinda, I didn't make the choice to like at any point, okay, I'm going to start taekwondo. It was kind of just, I had a friend who was like, I'm doing taekwondo, and do you want to come to a class? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I really liked it. But in the back of my mind was always, oh, when I do start pro wrestling, this is going to be really helpful, which was incredibly insightful given how everything worked out.
Yeah. What pro wrestlers did you just love? Did you like watching? Who had the matches that inspired you or gave you the most energy?
So I was again the youngest of 4, and I could always relate when I was very young watching like WWF and stuff to the smaller guys, to the like X-Pac and Matt Hardy specifically, that stood out very early that I really like latched onto, and then sort of quickly I started watching some like Japanese stuff. By like the early 2000s, all I would watch was Ring of Honor and Dragon Gate, just torrenting the hell out of those. But like Amazing Red and Low-Ki, seeing those matches, like their early Ring of Honor matches, that was like
the Mortal Kombat music video.
Yes, that was me seeing that and going, this is exactly the kind of wrestling I want to do. I remember like kind of early stumbling upon Misawa and Kawada matches and thinking like, whoa, this is like thinking about it, seeing it, comparing it to what I was watching on TV and be like, oh, this is much better.
Much more physical.
This is, yes.
Yeah.
A lot less, which is like, I started by seeing like vampires and a guy whose undead brother had burnt him and that's why he would, but that is never the part of wrestling I liked.
Enough to catch your eye, but it didn't make you want to put on a cane mask and choke slam people.
Yeah. And I never, like, even when I was 8 or 9 and seeing myself as a pro wrestler, I did not want to, I never, like, a lot of people get into wrestling through, like, bodybuilding or something, and they see those guys, and that's how they relate. Obviously, it was not that for me at all. Though I am a fan of bodybuilding now, but back then I did not see myself as, like, looking anything like Triple H or The Rock or the guys that were on TV at the time. I like saw myself as, again, being the little brother, smaller and relying on other things than
speed. Yeah. My favorite was Ultimate Warrior when I was little.
Yeah.
And I've never done a press slam. So.
That's surprising.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
So you're very tall, so that works against you for press slams.
It does. Yeah, it does. But with press slams, you know the part that I find the hardest? You got to grab the guy by the junk.
Yeah.
Right? It's very tricky. I mean, obviously you could grab them by the junk.
You could.
That would be a very effective move. But, you have to play, it's kind of tricky and I never really, if you watch old Claudio stuff when he's experimenting with the press slam, he was paranoid about it. So he would kind of go deeper into the thigh.
Okay.
So if someone doesn't have their feet crossed, it's like one leg is very high up in the air. It's impressive, but it just looks like, it looks kind of funny.
Yeah, it's very hard to control as well. Like no one in the world can press slam another human being without their consent.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It's very reliant on the person
unless you're talking about like a Rick Steiner or a Dr. Death Steve Williams from their heyday when they would just take like the big boss man, Big Bubba Rogers, and press slam him, and he's obviously not even helping.
Right.
But that's
so not helping, but again, not fighting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, hey, get off me. Can you imagine how emasculating that would be if you're trying your hardest to not get press slammed and you can't help it, and you're just like, and then you get slammed and you're like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
I quit. When you were doing the bedroom wrestling, the amateur-y type stuff, did you have any gimmicks?
No.
No?
It was very, very slight, but it was mostly we didn't have a group of friends. It was mostly me and my brother, and then the alternating friends. So we'd have different gimmicks with different styles, and just I don't remember any of the names.
Oh, you don't?
No, but they were all very boring names. I know my guy was Gold. His name was just Gold for some reason.
Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
When he was in his extreme hardcore wrestling or whatever it was.
So that's the good thing. We didn't have a name for our.
Yeah, you didn't have a federation name.
Fantastic, because it would have been a terrible name.
Seth Rollins' backyard wrestling name was God. Because I think for his email for the longest time was EHW God or something
great,
like that.
great.
Into the 2008, 2009. He still had that email. Hell yeah. So, did you get to go to any live shows as a kid?
Yeah, we went to WWF house shows and the occasional Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah. What was the first non-WWE show that you got to go to?
It was a NEW show that was right near my house. I must have been 13, and this is when my brother had just started training.
Okay.
And knew some of the people that were on the show, but wasn't.
NEW. Who?
You would never have heard of it. Trying to think of people that you may have known that were on the show. You may know Jimmy Stone.
Jimmy Stone. It sounds familiar.
He trains with Uno now.
Okay.
He was on that show, and I think that might be the only still
only guy.
working. Yeah. Because this was bottom of the barrel.
Hey, that's how it all starts, though,
right?
And I don't know about you, but for me, seeing local independent wrestling in Dayton, Ohio, where I grew up, I was just like, oh my gosh, these are normal people. I'm a normal person. I can do that. So it took away the trepidation of like, oh, I'm not an Ultimate Warrior. I'm not a 7-foot monster. But these guys look normal and they're doing it, and I want to be doing it also. So that gave me the inspiration.
So like that's a very like mid reaction to like, you could be saying, oh my God, these guys are awesome. I could never do this. We were looking at those guys being like, oh yeah, we crushed this.